I need support staff to clear the room. Stand up and walk, now!
Hello, and welcome to The Watch. My name is Chris Ryan. I am an editor at TheRinger.com, newly redesigned. And joining me in the studio and on video, he just mowed a widow's lawn. It's Andy Greenwald!
Yeah, front and back, baby. Hey, can I get a redesign now that we're on video?
What do you want to do? How could you change perfection here, you know?
Listen, first of all, it's great to see you.
Yeah.
What's great also is that everyone can see you.
Yep.
Because people have known for years now that you are a layer king.
I am. It's the perfect time for it.
But what they don't know is that now you are layering shades, not just jackets.
I functionally usually work with blue and gray. I think that's great for you.
You are a symphony in ocean today. You look amazing. I love it.
We are here with Kaya. We are on the new Ringer TV YouTube channel.
Kaya looks nice too. I noticed she's not on camera, but okay.
Not in my contract.
Not in mine, but hey.
So thank you for watching us if you are. If you're listening to us, hello. And we're just going to do the normal show today.
I see nothing normal about this show.
Well, it's Golden Globes Monday.
Mm-hmm.
So, I mean, I think we can start there, Andy. I don't care about the Golden Globes and don't understand who votes for them and how shows get picked. But I do look at it as a bellwether for what seems to become the quote-unquote best of the year. Now, there are so many Golden Globes categories for movies and TV that it gets a little participation trophy-ish after a while because it's like, you've got between limited series, comedy, and drama, it's like almost every notable performance and notable show gets a nod. But I thought it would be useful for us to go through this stuff now that you're back on the free shores of America.
Which I'd like to touch on
later.
Do it
now, man.
Not sure if I am back.
Okay.
I genuinely feel a little Atlantic, not transatlantic right now.
When you arrived back from England,
Yeah.
Andy was just in England and he got back Saturday.
Yeah.
You start real cocky. You're like, I feel great.
Chris, I crushed it last week. I was just in the pocket. I was like, this is my, fourth, fifth time there this year. Like, I get it. I know how to do it. You know what the sign of success was on this trip? Not just the wonderful things.
Have you picked a football club to support yet?
That are, no.
Okay.
I just tell people I like Liverpool. Everyone's like, nice. It's fine. I feel like that's okay, right?
I'll allow it.
It's like my buddy wears a Knicks hat and doesn't watch basketball and walks around New York being like, how about those guys? And they're like, I know, right? It's great. No, I feel like my sign of success outside of the wonderful work experience that I'm having is I was a little bit bored even. You know what I mean? Like that's a sign of like,
because you're not drinking enough.
Not pushing it too. No, I'm drinking just enough. It's great. And then the one wobble was that I got to Heathrow on Saturday. And I was like, man, I crushed this trip. I'm totally like, I'm in the pocket. I slept, feel good. I feel like I contributed a lot. And then I noticed that all the TVs were all on the same channel. It was just like very concerned looking news ladies talking about a furious windstorm named Derek.
They called off the Liverpool match. Your beloved Liverpool did not play this weekend.
Believe me, I know. And all of the news headlines just said, don't go outside. And I also want to say, like, I know that it's now an international thing to name storms.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't know that it was a UK thing. It's pretty sick that they give storms kick-ass Celtic names like Derek, Darrrach. It sounds like a vengeful Viking god. And they were saying, don't go outside.
Did your plane rock at all in the
Hell yeah, brother. We were fucking getting after it. We were rocking, we were rolling. And I guess the reason why I was actually nervous this time was the fact that in my recent trips to the UK, I've learned that they have a very different attitude about risk and being unwell than we do.
Yeah. Well, you also might have a much lower
I'm normal.
Risk tolerance.
100% normal. I do think I told the story, right, where someone at my place of work was like, I've got a bit of a headache. Does anyone have a paracetamol? And someone was like, oh, paracetamol. Oh, I'm not sure. Let me look. And they like dug around their bags and looked in the office medical kit. And they had like one blister pack with one, not even extra strength Tylenol.
Dr. Doug Ross opened up the kit.
I was like, what flavor do you want? Yeah. These are peanut butter, but they're also ibuprofen.
They're also opioids.
The look that people gave me, not only when I had headache medicine, but someone spilled something and I was like, I've got a Tide stick. Like, why do you carry that in your satchel? I was like, because I have children and also they sell this stuff at 7-Elevens. I have everything. Anyway, my point being, when I was like, yeah, I got a COVID vaccine, they're like, are you still doing that over there? Do you have a condition? So the fact
Do you have a pre-existing respiratory?
Literally, they're like, are you over the age of 70? The fact that that's their normal attitude, and then for a rain and windstorm, the news was, don't go outside.
Yeah, duck and cover, right?
So anyway, maybe that's having a lingering effect on me. So if I'm not at my best today, blame Derek.
Well, that part you nailed.
Okay.
When we get into television and when we talk about the works of Taylor Sheridan, which we're going to do a bit of today, and we're also going to talk about The Agency on Paramount Plus / Showtime on Paramount.
Big Paramount day for us.
We're the Paramount posse. Is it catching up with the cock? I don't know, but it's neck and neck.
Did you just ask me if the posse is catching up with the cock?
No, because Peacock.
We're getting this on video, right?
Peacock gets like pride of place in this podcast because of Kaya. And because of her support, her tireless support for Comcast and for its reality programming,
right?
We support Peacock. But
I heard they were thinking about unloading Bravo until Kaya stepped up, like the Norman Rockwell painting, just one brave soul.
She did a one-woman march on Washington.
Yeah, on Philadelphia, where Comcast
I honestly
is based.
do think that if Bravo was ever threatened, we would see numbers in the streets as if we could never imagine.
Do you think that's what's finally going to do it?
Yeah.
That's going to be the new resistance?
If Donald Trump is like, the below deck, it costs too much.
That and TikTok being banned.
Yeah, right.
That's what it's going to mobilize the people.
Whatever it takes.
Andy, well, let's talk a little bit about the Golden Globes before we get into this. Yeah. Now, I'll just run through the big TV categories, which are the shows. Best television series drama, The Day of the Jackal, a show we both enjoy quite a bit.
Do we? You do.
Wait, did you watch one?
I watched two. I just wanted to just keep it real.
Okay, you want a little separation between you and me.
Also, I feel like we've been gassing up Peacock in the last 45 seconds.
I enjoyed The Day of the Jackal.
Chris did.
The Diplomat, I criminally have not watched season 2.
No, we should.
Mr. and Mrs. Smith.
Yeah, that's
Andy,
my show.
You're a little more up on that than I am.
Big up on that.
Shogun, we equally love.
Okay, I like that we're now going to just divvy up custody of each one of these nominated
Slow Horses,
programs.
I think we both obviously adore.
Yeah.
Maybe this season was not our favorite, but we still love the show.
Fine.
And then the surprise, perhaps, on the television side of the entire slate.
Here we go.
Is the nomination of Squid Game Season 2 several weeks before it's out in the public. And to my knowledge, before a single soul has seen it.
Well,
obviously the Hollywood Foreign
like
Press
us.
or whatever has seen it. But, or the reconstituted Hollywood and Foreign Press or whatever this post-scandal Golden Globes thing is. But I don't remember this happening personally.
Yeah, for the record, the Hollywood Reporter story notes that the Hollywood Foreign Press Association no longer selects the nominees or winners.
Okay, good.
Instead, it is selected by a racially and ethnically diverse group of voters, who I believe also selected Donald Trump recently. So it's pretty ambiguous what their tastes in politics are. But congratulations to groups of voters. Anyway.
In any case.
They were given access.
Were they?
Well, you think they just nominated it because they got excited?
I'm just saying, is that an impossibility?
I think they did it because they were standing up in support of South Korean democracy.
All right.
Chris.
I can see you've come back.
The best thing is, I'm going to remember none of this podcast. Thank God it's being
When you
filmed.
start talking about Lioness, I'm going to put on a bulletproof vest.
Did Paramount send you one as a thank you gift for your years of support? We don't know.
What if Paramount sent me a full-grown horse for my support of Taylor Sheridan?
And then Taylor Sheridan shows up shirtless to teach you how to ride it? See, this is great because now the cameras are on you so they can see that you're smiling. Because I think for a moment it passed in front of your eyes like that would be a pretty cool Saturday.
It would be amazing. I don't have kids. I'd love to go horseback riding with Taylor Sheridan.
Well, you'd have to do the full Putin though. You'd have to have your shirt off. We don't know who these voters are, but we can assume that Netflix made the season or some of it available to them. I would say that it's hard to wrap your arms around this enormous list of nominees and make any sort of sense of it, other than the fact that Netflix took this very seriously.
Yes.
Is my main takeaway.
Yeah.
And that's evidenced by Emilia Perez, the Netflix film that won at Cannes, getting, I believe, more nominations than any film since Nashville or something.
I don't think yes, that's true or something like that, but I don't know necessarily that the Golden Globes, in that way, are a harbinger of what's going to happen with the Oscars.
No, I don't think so either. I'm saying that Netflix And I'm not saying that there was any sort of bribery or literal horse trading, which is what you're asking for from David Ellison and the new regime over at Paramount. But I am saying that all award shows can be influenced by how seriously the studios or streamers take them and engage with them and get their product in front of the voters. And I think that Netflix getting the most nominations for a movie that so far doesn't have a ton of stateside traction, I would say. Doesn't mean it's not good.
It was obviously did very well at Cannes, and it is a much talked about film.
Yeah, it might be good. I'm not
sure what its Netflix numbers are or if it's been in the top 10. But that is, I guess the point I was going to make about Squid Game not being seen and for the most part not being even buzzed about, because I don't know anyone who has seen it, and I think I probably would at this point. No big deal, but I would know, like, if someone was like, I have Squid Game screeners, I think I would know. The Golden Globes historically is a place not only for this kind of like strange celebration of every single possible microgenre of Hollywood, but It's also a platform where people launch new stuff and promote upcoming projects. Yeah. So the Squid Game thing, while sure, maybe 5 people saw the entire series and was like, God damn it, they did it again. I'm surprised. I'm not surprised by its inclusion as a piece of promotional material, and it is a globally huge phenomenon. So
yeah, I also think that Netflix is a very, very smart company in terms of many categories, but one of them is marketing. And a few years ago, when we talked about Netflix, one of our talking points was how they had kind of broken the calendar and seemed separate from the awards churn, and found more value in dropping shows on holiday weekends or in what had traditionally been
Squid Game.
Exactly, what had traditionally been kind of like blackout spots, but realizing that's actually when people are home watching things. It seems like they have now found a way to continue to do that, but also marry it to the more traditional promotional awards calendar, because it's not just Emilia Perez getting into this. It's not just Squid Game getting in before anyone that we know has seen it. Keira Knightley's nominated for Black Doves, a show that we both love, and
she deserves it.
And she 100% deserves it, but that show premiered 8 days ago. So what I'm saying is they are playing the long game here.
Yeah. Do you think, just quickly ask you about your holiday viewing plans, you don't observe Christmas per se.
I observe it from a distance, although I have Christmas thoughts after being in England around this time of year. And
have you thought about how you will spend your Christmas day? At what film? Will it be Lord of the Rings, War of the Rohirrim?
That just flowed. You just said that so smoothly. The Rohirrim, are they the horse ladies?
There's
or no?
the horsemen, the horse lords of Rohan. Yeah.
Lords or lordesses? Or
I think it's mixed. It's a mixed group. Yeah.
Listen, you and I both know that one of the strongest factions of fandom of the Lord of the Rings films are the women who like the horsewomen. Like, that's just, people would talk, this isn't a bit.
I know.
Like, people love those characters. And so I would like it to stay true.
Your choices are that, The Brutalist, or staying home and binging Squid Game.
Also, there's an NFL football game on.
Oh, and a complete unknown.
And an NFL football game. So what's my choice? Well, I haven't seen Anora yet. And that's my number one movie I want to see.
Yeah.
And then probably The Brutalist I really want to see.
And then there's that director's cut of Twisters where they might kiss, right?
Oh, don't tempt me with a good
best
time.
TV series.
Wait, what do you think I should see on Christmas?
A Complete Unknown.
I'm pretty dug into my take.
What's your take?
All
right. I don't know what to tell you. If you're not open to it, you're not open to it. Did you see that kid on Game Day? Did you see Chalamet?
No.
Oh my God, dude. Do you know anything about this? Do you know about this?
I'm so offline. I know nothing these days.
Bro, Chalamet went on Game Day, on College Game Day in Atlanta for the Texas-Georgia game. Kai, you saw this.
Of course.
Well, Kai was watching College Game Day anyway.
Yeah.
And was just
as I do on a Saturday.
And the guest picker, it's like they have like 6 guys on a panel, but then they'll have a guest come and help them pick the games.
Truly, college football is a blind spot. I don't know any of this.
A bunch of guys, it's like McAfee, Nick Saban, Desmond Howard, whoever, and they're all up on stage, and then they pick games.
Yeah, okay.
Kirk Herbstreit's on there, I think.
Like who they think's going to win the game.
Yes, and these were crucial games. These were the conference championship games. Chalamet went to the Fame High School. Everybody's doubting this kid, but what they don't know, that I know, is that dude loves Bill Simmons and Woj and like is a sports head.
Like he follows Bill, or do we know deeper? Does it go deeper?
He follows Bill on Twitter. He only follows like 40-some people on Twitter, and Bill and Zach Lowe are 2 of them. He's just like me. No, so he gets up on
so
stage. He's got this weird pencil mustache.
He's everything to you Ansel Elgort isn't.
He's got a... I'm not here to besmirch these people. I'm talking about Timmy.
Okay.
Tim gets on stage. He's got a pencil mustache because he's in some Safdie Brothers movie about a ping pong player from the 50s. And it's like, what's this guy going to do?
I literally feel like everything you're saying is made up.
Is he going to be like, oh, I like green, so I'm going with Marshall? You know, like I think that, you know, Bertolucci once said you can only do what you can do in front of you. And that's why I'm picking, you know, Clemson. No. This kid went straight ball knower. And yeah, it is. And he picked every game. I think he went 6-0, including except for 6-1 because he picked Texas over Georgia. But he blacked out and was just like, I love SMU. Kevin Jennings is going to be the next Heisman winner.
What?
Yeah, it's the 80s again. The Pony Express is back.
So this is the long tail of this argument is I should see his Bob Dylan impression because he likes college football.
Because he's the man. Because he's doing good. And he's quite good in this film. I'll say that.
One of the great regrets of my life is that the time I spent with young Timothy Chalamet was one of the least memorable actors.
When did you spend time with Timothy Chalamet?
2012, Chris. I'm in Charlotte, North Carolina, home of the Panthers, a scrappy NFL franchise.
They may have broken us.
I know. And I was on the set of, speaking of Paramount, I was on the set of a Showtime program called Homeland.
Oh, yeah, that's right. He was Dana's boyfriend.
He was the vice president's son.
Yeah.
And I was hanging out with him and his mom, who was on set because he was underage. And he was very shy. And at no point was I like Lisan Al-Gaib of College Game Day.
And was he just wearing a Jeremy Lin jersey and like... He was just reading Jason Concepcion tweets.
Let me tell you this. I don't know if you have stories like this in your life, but I have tried to make a number of different runs at this anecdote and to share it and to make it like kind of like to zhuzh it up into something worth sharing.
Yeah.
It's inert. There's absolutely nothing.
Well, he was like
this.
14 or 15.
Yeah, but you know, sometimes 14-year-olds have the spark. You know?
I guess, but then they can lose that spark.
Did.
They can lose that spark. No, I broke towards high school is when it started to emerge.
The spark?
Yeah.
Do you have...
late high school.
I don't want to put you on the spot with this, but like, do you have any celebrity interactions that are so colossally boring that you can't actually use them in conversation?
I think I just told one recently. My Paul Mescal one where like another man was talking to me about going to see a chiropractor and Paul Mescal was just like, please let me get out of this like elevator. I was like, that was it. He looked hot.
Yeah. Well, but like that one, he was already Paul Mescal.
Yeah, he was like in town promoting the Gladiator movie.
Right.
So, but he didn't care about me. That's cool.
I guess that was
I still care about him.
Because usually one of the highlights of the London to LAX flight that I have now done 5 times this calendar year that adds up to a number of full days is that you get like Andrew Scott watching the in-flight entertainment system.
Yeah.
Or what's his name? Rufus Sewell chatting with people at the bar. But then this time, I sent you a picture. There was like 100% like this guy was just like letting everyone know that he was a tussled and sexy British actor.
Uh-huh.
And I had no idea.
Neither did I when you sent it to me.
I took a search.
It honestly looked like Josh Allen if Josh Allen went to Zara. I don't know.
Tell me, say more about this. Okay. Anyway, all right. I am curious.
I don't really have a lot of other observations for you. This was just a note that the great Emmy debate overseen by Hannah Einbinder's mom of whether or not Bear is a comedy. We will rerun that with the best television series.
Yeah. Do you want to
musical comedy?
Yeah. Name them.
Abbott Elementary, The Bear, The Gentleman.
Yeah.
Love that.
It's a good show.
Hacks. Nobody Wants This. And Only Murders in the Building. Now, you could split the difference and just give it to Only Murders, which is a beloved TV show by people over 50. Or maybe Nobody Wants This, a late-breaking Netflix property this year, I think, post-Emmys, you know?
I could see that winning it, especially again because of Netflix's clout.
And
what about the limited series?
The limited series is interesting because there's at least one show on here that I did not know was limited.
Yeah, and I think it might change its mind.
Baby Reindeer on Netflix, Disclaimer on Apple, Monsters, the Lyle and Eric Menendez story, which I actually think is going to win.
That's the one you think is going to be ongoing, right? It's going to be George Gascon.
That dude's out. Have you really not read a paper?
I know he lost, but he was like, as my last act, I will free these
No,
boys.
he was doing that to get elected. He was just like, oh, is something trending? Let me get in front of that.
Yeah, but the new guy coming in was like,
He's like, I'll think about it.
Yeah, I'll think about it.
I'll think about it. Yeah. He's like, I'm elected, so I don't have to worry about getting reelected just a second.
For what it's worth, my kids know that when I say, I'll think about it, it's a yes. They celebrate when I say, I'll think about it.
Yeah, that's a good question. How do you hedge your bets but lean no?
You have to say no. I'm learning this. If I say maybe,
what about
or I'll
maybe
think
next
about it.
time? Do they go for that?
It's a tougher.
Dad, can we watch Landman? And you're like, maybe next time.
It's a tougher one, but I can get that one through.
Okay.
Yeah, I have the votes to get that one through.
The one that's confusing here is the Penguin.
Mm-hmm.
And we follow it up with our beloved Ripley and True Detective Night Country.
Which is continuing, but as a different. I mean, they are making another one, but it won't be Night Country.
Another True Detective.
Yeah.
Yes. And you know what? Steve Zalian, keep making Patricia Highsmith novels.
Let's use our Netflix clout to have that conversation because that does not seem to be
the
happening.
Penguin, to me, giant hit.
Yeah.
Maybe Colin Farrell doesn't want to put that shit on, but like maybe could like the Penguin go through massive cosmetic surgery and just look like Colin Farrell so it's easier for him to shoot the show?
That would be so smart. Or,
canonically, does that work with the character?
Well,
or does he just get more and more Penguin-like?
I think Matt Reeves is doing something very different, very groundbreaking. I don't want to step on his web toes on this subject.
Okay.
No, what the way to do it would be to double cast, like have Colin Farrell show up as
like the hot DA.
Yeah, or like Oz's cousin.
Yeah.
Kaz, who's just like Irish and very good looking.
Yeah.
And then he could do a bunch of scenes that way.
I didn't know that was a limited series. Unless you're calling it an anthology series within the greater Gotham story. I don't really know.
I am surprised. This seems a little bit like gamesmanship because they have not decided. I think they would very much like to run it back.
Mm-hmm.
I think that it is a longer conversation for a number of reasons, one of which is they are making the sequel to the film, which will pick up some elements of the story, presumably.
You see there's some rumors that is a delayed and troubled production.
Well, I'd like to answer that in two ways. One, that doesn't surprise me. And two, it's very interesting doing a culture podcast while not learning any news.
Yeah.
So
that's because
I'm learning in real time. I think that's being worked out. I would say that we have many examples. I think White Lotus did this recently of a show winning or being nominated in a limited before category jumping for a second season or third season. That could happen.
Wait, did it jump? I thought it was considered an anthology because no characters except for Coolidge recur.
All right. White Lotus didn't category jump. What's the one that category jumped?
Shogun.
Yes, but I'm saying one that had won or run in a category. I thought it was White Lotus, but I'm clearly mixing it up with something else. But the reason I say it is that usually the category jumping ahead of time is gamesmanship. And I actually, if you look at the best television series nominees as you listed for HBO, for this year for the Golden Globes, HBO has none, which is very, very noteworthy. And The Penguin likely could have taken one of those slots. So I'm surprised that it didn't do it, if only for the chance to win, even if they didn't actually greenlight a second season for 1 year to 18 months to 2 years from now.
Is there any of the performance nominations that you want to talk about? To me, it's like this is basically everybody who was on TV. So
I would also note, though, just on that HBO point, that like House of the Dragon, I believe, won this award as drama series.
Yeah.
And is not nominated.
Emma Darcy is nominated.
Season, but Emma Darcy is.
That is strange.
I mean, it's telling, I think.
I like the second season more than the first season.
I think you are in a minority. I think it was better. I totally agree with you. But that's just temperature taken out there. Because,
I think it ended on a bad note. Yeah, I think because it felt curtailed. But I thought that
lingered
dramatically, and it had my favorite episodes of the series were in that season.
You know what's good about this new iteration of our podcast is that like you're you're actually like the data guy, and I'm the old fashioned shoe leather, just like Tom Friedman in a cab reporting. I'm like, I think people didn't like it as much, and you're like, show me the numbers. I'm like, I don't need to.
I talked to a cab driver.
I talked to a cab driver in Mumbai. Yeah, I mean, it is a weird. Also, it's a Golden Globes also just followed a weird time of year where you have the leftover nominees from the Emmys, not leftover, but people who had already, this has already been litigated in the Emmys, where it's like Maya Erskine and Donald Glover for Mr. and Mrs. Smith, Anna Sawai, who won the Emmy in this category, and Hiroyuki Sanada. And then you have the shows that have debuted since. So you have Jake Gyllenhaal for Presumed Innocent, Billy Bob Thornton. We're going to be talking about him in a minute. Yeah, I mean, most people seem to have been nominated this year, and I like many of these performers, and I liked a lot of these shows. I don't have a very strong opinion. I think there was a big showing by the Disney, ABC, Hulu Corporation across the board. They got a lot of nominations, including ones you wouldn't necessarily expect, like Catherine Hahn for Agatha All Along, but Ted Danson's sneaking in there for your show, Man on the Inside.
I'm just gonna blow by that.
I know you are.
All right, let's wrap it up there then. I mean, Sean is going to be covering all the movie stuff, and I think has a very, very close eye on the Globes as a directional for where the awards race is going. And for the Oscars, it seems like it's so wide open, and the debate is already so hot as to whether or not like Wicked should get this sort of anointing just because of its late season success and the joy it's brought many, many people. You haven't seen Wicked?
No. I thought I was in the barrel for that, but my children saw it without me.
So you can take them into a complete unknown then.
There's a couple of those. Exactly. A couple of those they've seen without me. Wild Robot was another one. Got some noms.
Yeah.
Have not seen Moana 2 yet. I know you were curious.
What is like the number one movie that you have not seen that you're like, I can't wait to see it? Because I know you're traveling. Anora.
I'm so psyched to see Anora. And by the way, I saw that someone in Anora, of whom I have no opinion yet because I have not seen Anora, was cast in Mr. and Mrs. Smith season 2.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm.
Is it a guy?
The younger fellow?
Yeah.
He's going to be the male lead.
You're right. Okay.
In Mr. and Mrs. Smith 2.
Really?
Yes.
And who else is in that show?
That's all that's been announced.
Just that guy.
Yeah.
Damn, you got news too.
Well, again, I heard that from a cab driver. Just to put a button on it, I think I look forward to Sean's conversation about this because I do think on the big picture, because I think the Golden Globes, these nominations coming when they do, have a lot more to say about the state of the film industry and the Oscar race than they do about the television industry, which feels like it's still just a little bit like Windstorm Derek right now in terms of what's up, what's down, what's flying across the pitch at Anfield? Is that where our team plays, our boys?
But they didn't play because of the wind.
I was testing you. Yeah. You got that right. They didn't play against.
They're apparently about to re-sign their trio of soon-to-be free agent superstars.
Mo Salah?
Yeah.
I sent you a clip from my Uber driver the other night. He was listening. It was so funny to listen to the WIP of London.
Talk sport, yeah. I knew what it was.
You knew instantly what it was. It was so civilized.
It can get pretty racy on there.
Well, the tenor was different than, Joe from Bortondale calling in to talk about why Jalen Hurts is deficient. And by Joe from Bortondale, I mean you and Zach.
Oh, you're getting back on Team Jalen here?
I'm always more Team Jalen than you guys.
Let's talk about Taylor. So last night, you're really all day yesterday. In fact, Mallory and I had this funny thing going on Saturday where there was some really good college football between Georgia and Texas and Oregon and Penn State. And I was like, what time can we watch Landman? I was texting with her. And those shows, I think, go up on Saturday evening, or at least Landman does. But all day Sunday, you can watch them. I like to think of someone sitting down, though, and from 8 to 11,
just
banging out the trio.
Because they're all Sunday night shows.
Lioness, Yellowstone, and Landman. Mm-hmm. In 2 of these shows, I have to report to you, the Lioness season finale and the penultimate episode of Yellowstone.
Now, I have been doing some reading about these things, so I'm not completely in the dark, but I do want your perspective, and we're going to need Kaya in here as well.
Well, Taylor Sheridan has cast himself in both these series.
Yes, he has.
Largely as a supporting player, bit part, almost kind of comic casting, where it's like, it's Taylor Sheridan. That's really funny.
You think? Okay.
Yeah. So in Lioness, he plays a Delta.
I saw this. Remember, I did watch the season premiere.
Yeah, and he's like got some banter with Joe.
He's super yoked.
He's yoked to the fucking max, man. Like he is creatined up.
It's because I was about to say,
it's just pure dumbbells and it's old-fashioned drinking milk and
All right.
eaten 4 6's steaks.
Speaking of dumbbells, this is Liver King 2.0.
I just
buddy.
don't want to offend him because he wants to come on. I want him
if he wants
come
to
on.
ride horses with
I
you.
have told Kat and Allison, our bookers, they are so nice and they're so good at what they do. And they're just like, is there anybody you've always wanted to have on the pod? Instantaneously, Taylor Sheridan is the white whale. I want to talk to Taylor Sheridan. I was like, I don't care about who we voted for. I just want to fucking talk about Mayor of Kingstown season 1, episode 3.
That's all you want to talk about?
I'll talk about all of it. I've seen all of it.
Mm-hmm.
So last night,
Yeah.
on 2 of these 3 shows, both of which were crucial.
It's
the
insane.
last episode of the season of Lioness, second to last episode of Yellowstone ever.
Mhm.
I would describe the main character of both of those shows, those episodes, as Taylor Sheridan, the actor.
Yes.
Taylor Sheridan started as an actor.
Yeah. He's a frustrated actor, I believe, which led him
has
to...
done this remarkable job, I think, writing these parts and writing these pages of dialogue and these action scenes for other actors where clearly, whatever you could say about paychecks, people want to do these shows, right? Like the level of talent he's getting involved in these things is pretty mind-blowing. Sometimes we're just like, damn, Nicole Kidman really just wanted to walk back and forth between these offices and say, Joe, you know it's at stake. But obviously there's something to the role.
And I want to let you continue, but I don't want to gloss over this, that like there is some element of negotiation here that there's a piece of the story we don't have.
You think that he's giving them like equity in his ranch or something?
No, I think that what he did was like have a conversation with Demi Moore, and he was like, do you want to be in my television show Landman? And she was like, no, thank you. And he was like, well, what do you want to do? She's like, well, I'm going to be swimming today from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. And he was like, can I bring a camera crew? And then she gets 3rd billing on the show.
Well, what else were you going to do? I was going to make a smoothie. Can I film you making a smoothie? Is it all right if John Hamm's also there and he's talking on the phone?
Yeah, and John Hamm was like, I'll come do it too, but I've got 6 days and I only want to be in the same room as Demi Moore.
Right.
They make it work.
Yeah.
Which is, what film crews have been doing since time immemorial, and I respect it. But
and if you read the Vulture article about Barry Jenkins making Mufasa,
I did.
We're about to go in some exciting places.
So
if the Mufasa technology
excited.
can merge with Taylor Sheridan, who knows who he can cast? Clark Gable is going to be in the fucking Lioness season 3.
This is so incredible. Can you imagine? Because people should read this article because it is both fascinating.
The Matt Zoller Sites article about Barry Jenkins?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is both fascinating and a little bit chilling in the sense of just like how we've really let the shit out of the barn now in terms of like completely
It's Barry Jenkins
speculative.
and the people who made Beale Street Could Talk on a blank soundstage with tape on the ground wearing VR headsets.
Yes. And so
playing around in a grasslands and trying to make a fully digital film.
And I am going to be there for it, both because my children want to see this movie and because I really love, respect, and admire Barry Jenkins. And I am interested when artists engage with what's happening in the world and not run from it.
I just realized?
But,
you know what?
Yeah.
Barry Jenkins knows?
What?
He knows ball. He is also a huge college football fan.
He's a ball knower.
And he knows so much about Florida high school football.
Yes, he
Barry
does.
Jenkins should make a movie about a young, brilliant offensive coordinator making his way up through the ranks of college football with Tim Chalamet.
But he's a lion.
No, it doesn't have to be a lion. Like I just mean he should make like the Rhett Lashley story.
Why are you giving this away for free?
Because I want it. I don't look at art as proprietary, you know?
Jesus
I think it should all go into the public domain.
That sounds like spoken by a guy with equity. Just giving it away. I think you're a mocker in this town. You could make this stuff happen.
It's just free. It's free game.
Barry
Barry
Jenkins
Jenkins is looking for something new to do. I think
he is.
Get Timothy Chalamet the Cheesecake Factory menu and put a headset on him and have him dialing up air raid offense concepts.
Barry Jenkins has been on this podcast. We could reach him. Timothy Chalamet, as noted previously, follows Bill Simmons on Twitter. We could basically have this in pre-pro in 6 weeks. All I was going to say, though, was this idea. I don't want to leave it alone. The idea of Taylor Sheridan having access to the
movie. If this OC could talk, you know?
Oh, the OC. Built-in fan base.
That's right.
But this time,
that's right.
He's coordinating.
Yeah.
If Taylor Sheridan had access to the Mufasa technology, because in this article, Barry Jenkins has the goggles on and he like falls in love with a little like warren under a waterfall that the people designed but didn't plan to set anything there.
It's like playing Grand Theft Auto.
But if Taylor did that and he's just like, where's Taylor? And he's just like, he's in the virtual headspace in the coffee place where the women wear bikinis and he's just living there.
So to finish the statement, Lioness, it's the season finale. Yellowstone, it's the penultimate episode.
Yes.
These episodes hinge.
It's crazy.
On Taylor Sheridan's characters. In Yellowstone, he plays a rancher in Texas who takes over like the auctioning of the Yellowstone ranch of Dutton Ranch.
Because we're getting rid of it, right? Like we've moved on.
And in Lioness, he single-handedly fends off an Iranian like Republican Guard battalion to save the QRF, the Joe's little team who are doing something quite illegal in Iran. So it is mind-blowing to watch this happen where like this dude, and at the end of the episodes, people are like, man, I want to be you and I want to fuck you. You are the best. And he's just like, hey, I'm just doing my job and writing a show.
Now,
that I do that in.
People may think that I'm going to come down hard on this, but I want to be clear about something. I want to be honest.
And that we were also going to talk about how I feel about Lioness's finale.
I just want to be honest with you that I had a similar arc for myself planned for Briar Patch season 2, where I was going to be shirtless for the majority of it and also get into a firefight in Iran. Now I can finally be honest about why there wasn't season 2. Because my pitch was very thorough. Yeah. But so I get it. I get
now,
it.
In the
I bring it up to
Mufasa
say
grasslands, would you be yoked in this? Or
hell yeah.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. It looks put these goggles on. It looks
and now that we are on video, like, wouldn't it be amazing if I took my shirt off and I just had like the ropey Rafe Fiennes Odysseus body that he got? Have you seen that?
What?
Rafe Fiennes is in a movie where he's like plays Odysseus.
Okay.
And he's jacked.
I
like for real, not 300 like they airbrushed him. Like I think he got absolutely swole under those conclave robes.
Is it like Fassbender? It's in the agency where he's like, I am now a normal man, returned from writing books. Involved. We'll talk about this in a minute. Okay. I should also say, just for context, that Taylor Sheridan's not Lioness, but lionization of himself has been the subject of some online commentary already.
Okay.
I saw a piece on Vulture today, I believe was called like, "This is a cry for help." So
I believe that the Yellowstone recap on Vulture began, "What the fuck is going on?" or something like that.
Because this is the penultimate episode of one of the most, inarguably most popular shows. And a not even tertiary character spends the majority of it with his shirt off, flirting with one of the Hadid sisters.
Yeah. Playing strip poker.
And playing strip poker.
With Beth. Yeah.
That's wild.
Yes.
Can you now, just a man standing in front of me, sitting, can you make the case for Yellowstone, late period Yellowstone? Is there a case to be made?
I stopped being able to make the case when Rasola and I were recapping the previous season.
You guys.
And then just
my boys.
hit double eject, like Goose and Mav right out of the top. Now, one of those guys dies in the ejection.
Respect to Ryan.
But we tried. You know what I mean? Like, I still stand by those first few seasons, the first season especially. The Yellowstone project, I think, has become a victim of, like, all the various interested partners and parties. And like, I think that the Kevin Costner thing wound up, actually, if you actually get a good accounting of it, I don't know how they even made the last season with him kind of being like, you can have me for 5 minutes. So I'll walk into that room and be like, God damn it, Beth.
Time to die.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. So it's sort of inextricable to consider that show.
I think that show is being literally like primed for market to be spun off into the Madison, which is this Michelle Pfeiffer, Kurt Russell show that's going to have something to do with Yellowstone, and a Texas spinoff from some of the characters.
Right.
Like a Texas ranch spinoff. And I'm sure Taylor Sheridan's ranch hand guy will play a part in that Texas one.
The potential continuation of the show or rebranding of the show with Matthew McConaughey is dead. That whole rumor. Okay. Apparently. So it's basically it's being brought to market to be strip mined.
He cast Bella Hadid as his girlfriend?
Yes. Where were you, Kaya? I needed you.
It took me a second to process that.
And then
I was like, is there a third Hadid sister I don't know about?
Yeah.
there might be.
Marsha Hadid, and she's just like a really like normal woman.
But there's a lot of like, that means that in this show, in Yellowstone, but also in Landman Ep 5, or episode 4, there is a recurring thing where extremely young women are asked why they want to sleep with these 70-year-old guys.
Yeah.
And they're like, well, they've just got a certain way about them. It's like, I mean, the man likes what he likes.
So, should we talk a little bit about Lioness?
Yes, and we need Kaya because
We need Kaya to jump on here because she watched it.
You guys will talk about Lioness.
Thanks for going on this journey with me.
Of course. Yeah.
Let me be completely candid. I thought that this season of Lioness started off incredibly strong.
Yeah.
I was never bored for a second of this season of Lioness. I do think that the politics got a bit muddy at the end.
Do you like a consistent political show? Like you want it to be... Okay.
I think once they fully just like jumped the ship on the Mexico plot and we're like, actually now we're going to like go and
invade Iran.
Yeah, that's when I was like, what are we doing here?
Yeah. And I think that was, to be fair, what the White House chief of staff in the show was saying. She was like, how have you decided to start a hot war without informing the commander in chief?
It seems like a good question.
And Morgan Freeman was just like, if it's a win for all of us. And if it's a loss, I take the loss.
Now watch this drive. Classic George W. Bush fashion.
So I thought that like it became a show that was like actually like a very, very effective espionage show and also got into the like what happens when you go too far undercover idea.
And also try to break up a child smuggling ring.
Well, that was in the second season. The first season, it was like this woman Cruz got close to a woman named Aaliyah.
Yeah, I remember
and it was like it was actually like a very effective storytelling mechanism. In the second season, I think it just became about 7 different things, which I understand that's what happens on shows, but this was like, is this about Mexico or is it about China or is it about Iran or is it about all 3 of those?
A helicopter pilot and her father.
Yeah, exactly. So this season ends.
Did Taylor write every episode of this
every single episode? Directed the first 2, much like he did with Landman.
Feels limiting, but okay.
You want to get some new voices in there?
I mean, let's wait till we get to Landman because I have genuine questions about this because what you're saying about Lioness, that it's like about too many things, it's kind of my feeling about Landman, which is it's about too many things and also no things. Like there are certain strands.
Well, I think that actually works for Landman.
Okay,
I think you have to reset what you're watching with Landman. I think with Lioness, you think you're watching a modern day, highly like militarized Tom Clancy show,
right?
And what happens is like as the plot almost has to come up with his like, what if we did this? That would be fucking sick.
It feels like the plot is designed to set up these big action set pieces.
Exactly. There was a lot of that this season. There was multiple like, whoa, this is like a movie level shootout that they're doing. Yeah. It's also, I would guess that almost every location from Monterrey, Mexico to the Turkey, Iran, Iraq border is shot in Texas.
No doubt.
Which I think is really making the most out of your property, but is, I thought, notable that like it was like this looks exactly like where they just were. It's just that you're pretending this is Iran. The stuff with Caitlin, who is Nicole Kidman's character, and Byron, who is Michael Kelly's character. So what they do is,
do they ever leave the Situation Room?
Oh yeah, they go to Mexico.
Oh, nice.
And
they get their hands dirty.
They really do. So the cartel has been working with the Chinese to cause unrest at the border.
Say less.
And what they decide to do is kidnap the accountant for the Los Tigres cartel, who is also Josie, the main lioness's father.
Oh.
And that was the original sort of like, you got to go to your dad and basically make it so that he
There was this whole plan where she was going to like fly her helicopter into Mexico and then like smuggle drugs back, and then they just decided to drop that because of
this, what happened with the child trafficking. Then what they do is they go to this accountant guy in Costa Rica where he is being held at a black site.
It's also Texas.
And Caitlin says to him, we need trust. We need to work with people we trust. Can we trust you? Mm-hmm. Can we trust you to tell us if the Chinese or the Iranians like reach out to you? And he's like, I guess so. And he's like, well, we trust your whole family. We'll protect your whole family except one guy. And that's his brother. So what they do is they go to Monterrey, Mexico, and he goes, Hermanito. And they hug.
That means
shoots
little
his
brother.
He shoots his brother in the head.
Who shoots his brother?
The Pablo, the guy.
He shoots his own brother?
Yeah. In front of everybody. And they're like, new jefe.
And then Michael Kelly throws up.
And then Michael Kelly throws up because not of what he witnessed, but how little it's going to change things.
Yes.
Wow. Also, the two of you guys tag teaming to describe this to me is
honestly, it's a 2-person job.
How flippantly Kyle is like, they've got a Chinese agent like with like blinders on, like strapped to a chair in Mexico for some reason. And Kyle's like, looks at Caitlin and just goes, Guantanamo.
Like, should we?
Yeah, and they do.
Like the same way people are like, table fries?
Yeah, exactly. Like, is anyone feeling table pancakes?
We're all thinking it, right?
So that's where Lioness ended up. Look, I think that the problem with a show like that ultimately is that you need to feel like the stakes are so high all the time.
Yeah.
And after doing it twice with basically the same ending, a cynical kind of like, what have we really done here moment.
Yeah. We've accomplished nothing.
Like they found love in a hopeless place. You know what I mean? Cruz and Josie.
Can't wait to see how it works out for them.
But Joe, the Zoe Saldana character, is taken back in by Neil, her husband.
Had he cast her out?
Yeah, he was kind of like, you've been shot in the liver, and if you're not taking your health seriously, I can't take you seriously.
Wow, tough love.
Yeah. But the mesh they put on her liver holds when she goes to her
and then gets like shot at again.
Is that something you can get?
Apparently,
I need that for when I'm in London.
Yeah, you gotta get that mesh.
That third pint.
And I take it no one passed away from being assaulted by up to 1,000.
People got shot in the stomach, but everybody's fine.
Do you think that if you got, now I hope this never happens, but if you got shot in the liver, do you think Phoebe would be like, I must cast you out of our home until you take your health more seriously?
I think if she was like, if I was like, I've been shot in the liver, but I'm going to continue to pod and it's going to rip the stitches, she would be like, then you have to find somewhere else to live.
But what if you just love, now I understand it, because you love to pod.
Yeah, and she loves to fucking shoot people.
Okay.
I got a ton of enjoyment out of this season, and especially there are moments early in the season that I think are like fucking iconic. Like Zoe Saldana yelling at people. It's just the plot gets incredibly muddy over the course of this season, and it ends with the United States essentially allowing / running the Los Tigres cartel to operate within the United States. And I don't know what happens with the China and Iran. So
seems like we should find out.
Well, when it ends, Ambassador Feng is on the phone for Morgan Freeman, and he's like, let him stew.
Do you think he's just calling it his $1 million picks? Do you think that's what it's about?
I love Jacksonville.
Picks against the spread.
Thanks for allowing that to happen.
I love this.
Guess the Lionesses.
I think that
Thank you, Kaya. Good job.
No problem. Fired up 10 p.m. last night. I was like, I got to do my homework.
I never really would have thought that the person really going on this journey with me would be Kaya. I
think all our listeners knew.
Okay.
There was never a doubt.
You actually are not required to have any follow-up questions here.
No, but I think generally, and I am caught up on Landman. I've watched 5 hours of that program.
Yeah.
And I do think it's like a glass half full, half empty kind of thing, because what you just said about Lioness, feel, typical fair-minded CR take. Like you enjoyed the highs and you just sort of rode the lows. You know what I mean? Like they didn't take away from the experience
I'm a sicko.
For you.
I truly do love this shit. Yeah. So even when it doesn't make any sense, or you can tell they're like resetting again so that they can do a third season.
Yeah.
I'm aware of what I'm watching and I appreciate it.
I struggle with Landman because there are things there, and
you don't struggle with Landman.
Yeah, I do, because I'm still watching it.
No, I'm saying you don't struggle.
I'm struggling.
If you were struggling, you would have stopped. You would have been like Lioness, like, I can't, dude.
No, I am your friend.
I think you secretly
until you watch
like
a Miyazaki movie, I will continue to. I wanted to secretly like Landman, and I think that I secretly was liking it until this 5th episode.
Okay.
And it cannot get out of its own fucking way.
Let's do a little bit of spoilers for the 5th episode. Because speaking of not being able to get out of the way, this episode concludes with a guy named Rick being crushed by several tons of
iron bar.
Piping.
Iron pipe.
Yeah.
And he is the architect of his own destruction.
He really is.
He's acting like a grade A prick.
He's throwing a huge fucking Moody on the top of tons of metal.
Unsecured iron pipes, kicking them in frustration that his workday is going to be long.
But then he dies right in front of his boss, Billy Bob Thornton. That was the point where you were out?
He doesn't just... No, I enjoyed that part. It reminded me, I texted you this, it did remind me a little bit of Walter J. Weatherman on Arrested Development, being like, and that's why you don't have a tantrum on top of a truck full of iron piping. Because he didn't die right away.
No.
He had enough time to have a cell phone in his hand.
Well, it was Billy Bob's.
Yeah, he handed him a cell phone. He said, call your wife. Now...
He's like, what do I tell her?
A couple things.
My FanDuel account PIN number is...
Take the money line. There were a couple... The deepest moment of humanity in the show was a guy calling his wife to say goodbye on A, someone else's phone, B, in the middle of the day. And I think that we all know, honestly, very few of our loved ones would pick up that call if it came from an unknown number.
Don't you think if we did something more important, our wives would pick up if we called? Like if we were like, I'm working with tons of metal piping? Like,
no, because how much... I mean, yes, they would say that. And then,
I would just set it up where I'm like, I won't bother you during the day.
Except?
And if I need you, I'll send a text. If it's just like, can you pick up more Michelob?
And here you are calling.
If I call, it's probably to tell you I love you before my lungs collapse.
But Chris, this is an unknown number. So my point is that Phoebe, being a lovely person, gets the brief. Like she understands. But the 6th time she picks up panicked, and it's like Act Blue for the Attorney General candidate in Missouri, she's like, fuck this. I have to have my Tuesday. You know what I mean? Like, there has to be an end to this. Unfortunately, the end was to her husband at the bottom of a mountain of iron piping.
Yeah.
So it's a tough beat for Rick. That's not my issue. The bigger issue, and this is why I kind of wanted to tie it into the larger Taylor Sheridan thing, is that his project is so unique, and it is just unvarnished brain gush. It is like hanging out. It's like basically like his podcast that he does solo.
Yes.
And it is just like being talked at.
This is why I want to talk to him. I want to know how he plots these shows out, because like there's so much story in each one of these.
There's also so much time wasting.
I don't think it's time wasting. I think it's real life taking place on camera.
Okay.
How long
Frederick
is the
Wiseman documentary?
How long is that dinner scene with Ali Larder?
It's so long, and the gist of it is she's sad that they don't appreciate her pasta and these
bolognese that she had wild boar flown in from
But also,
Italy.
8 adults are like, what's this ribbon of wheat on my plate in a ketchup sauce? And she's like, that's an Italian pasta. And he's like, interesting. It fucking sucks. Because I watch it. They're like, this tastes good, but I watch men die for a living. It's not just that. Here's something that I want to talk about, and I imagine that it happens across all of his shows, and I would like to coin this phrase if it hasn't already been coined, which is inevitably 3 times per episode, maybe 4 or 5 times, especially on Landman. Other characters are in a scene, and their job is to lob a couple softballs at Billy Bob or John Hamm.
John Hamm, yeah.
Right.
Those fucking cucks at the board meeting
and
who
then,
were just like, I like wind power.
And then they just clear out. It is like watching Luka Doncic play heliocentric basketball.
Yeah.
What I like to do during these scenes, when characters are just bombastically delivering the same speech that was delivered in the previous episode about how all of you are fucking beta snowflake dipshits for plugging in your cars, watch the other actors in the scene. I call this the Taylor Sheridan days. This is when every other actor in the scene just has to awkwardly stare into the middle distance while someone speaks uninterrupted for 3 to 6 minutes about wind power. It is so fucking nuts to watch these other actors who are like, I get to be on a TV show. What'd you do? I watched the restaurant table awkwardly while a 30-year-old told me how to be a lawyer, even though my character is a lawyer. Like, It's so deeply unnatural. It's like Japanese no theater.
That's why I like it. It's like there's
weird,
no
man.
rhythm to these scenes.
No.
Like you get to the dinner scene in episode 5. He's come back home. He's got James Jordan with him. They're just disgusting. Jacob Laughlin, the Cooper character, has just been mowing a lawn for an entire other workday.
And then cut to the dog. And the dog's like, yep, still watching you mow the lawn. Then he mows the lawn more and he cuts to the dog. And he's like, do you like me yet, dog? And the dog's like, bark, bark. And he's like, one day you will like me, dog. Anywhere else I can mow?
And then Paulina Chavez's character is like,
yeah,
if you drink one beer, it promotes breastfeeding health, right?
Taylor Sheridan Googles lactation.
Dude, I heard that's kind of true though, right?
Okay. I got the other supplements that'll work for you.
I apparently I asked my wife, I said, is that true? And she was like, I don't know. I haven't had a child, but
did you call her in the middle of the day?
No, we were at dinner.
From the bottom of a
she
pile
was like,
of metal?
what are we going to talk about at Sunday dinner? And I was like, well, there's been a couple of ideas kicking around the Taylorverse that I'd like to bounce off of you.
Where were you when Billy Bob needed a conversation at the pasta dinner? They were in silence when he could have been like, I hear beer's good for your boobs. And then the daughter would have just like stared wistfully, happily, because her parents are fucking noisily in the next room. By the way, there's this scene when, you're right, I do love the show. There's this scene.
How could you, where else can we get this?
There's this scene when Allie Larder is taking her daughter.
All other shows are like, oh, I hope this person...
I'm not a bad person.
I hope this person is a good person, even though they might be bad. Or I hope this person really heals from this.
And instead, we get Allie Larder wobbling like a absolute fabulous taking a lie detector test between her character's two modes, which are like, why don't you fuck me enough? And let's go shopping for tequila. And she has these
also
scenes
they introduced her menstrual cycle to this episode.
Again, it's just like Taylor Sheridan's like, what are other things that we're not allowed to talk about in today's cucked society? I know. Asking wives where they are with a red menace. Let's fucking go. That's how I like to talk to ladies, like my girlfriend Bella Hadid. Did I mention that's my girlfriend and I'm allergic to shirts?
Girlfriend?
No, not yet. She's very charming. I like when Allie Larder and her daughter, she's like, come on, we need to celebrate the little things in life, like you now being old enough to run for president of the United States, my teenage daughter.
Why did Allie Larder's character think that she is a GMILF rather than just a GILF?
Because Taylor Sheridan doesn't get noted. He's like, that must be what it is. And everyone's like, yes, sir, big boss. It's so crazy. In the midst of all this, there are these moments where I'm like, this is interesting. The moments, unlike
every time John Hamm picks up a phone, I'm like,
what's he going to say this time?
I'm like, shh to everything in the world. I need to hear what he's going to say.
Unlike some, I enjoyed Billy Bob Thornton's probably factually deeply untrue monologue about the fallacy of clean energy. I did not enjoy having the same lecture the next week from John Hamm.
It's not the same lecture. That's more about the public perception of fossil fuel industry.
You're unbelievable.
I'm saying there's a difference. Billy Bob Thornton is like, everything you see is powered by oil. And even if like we aren't even ready to make the move to electric, which in fact also has like a pretty difficult carbon footprint. I have no idea if any of that's true. I just drive a gas guzzling German car. John Hamm is like, we can't get these people on our side. We don't control how our product is used.
Right. Yeah. Just hands in the air. We're all innocents here.
Now where's my private plane?
The church of money. The thing that makes a Taylor Sheridan show noteworthy isn't Billy Bob Thornton's entire scene with a 30-year-old lawyer who doesn't know how to hold a handbag, where he just always has the right thing to say and just dunks on her again and again and again, and then lectures her about wind turbines. It's that at the end of that scene, in case the point hasn't been made, she is then menaced by a rattlesnake, frozen to the site, and he then decapitates the snake with a shovel and takes the rattle as a blood souvenir.
You don't think it's cool how she gets after it in the deposition, though?
As someone who has known attorneys, that scene was so fucking crazy where the high-priced lawyer on the other side says, objection. And she's like, you fucking dipshit. you don't even know what this is, do you? My dead Army Ranger father would shit on your grave.
Yeah, and then she's like, I don't have an Army Ranger father.
But we're done here,
Yeah.
and the entire lawsuit goes away. And then the daughter's like, you guys want to get skinny margs? I hope there's no sugar in this tomato sauce.
That's an interesting part.
Yeah, it's fascinating.
She has been in a bikini for 87% of this show.
And your guy,
Yeah? Who's my
Colm
guy?
Feore,
Yes.
great actor, his job on the show is to be like, "Whoa, whoa,
And
she's
still
wearing
you
a
watch.
bikini." Because of you're my friend.
You know deep down that we don't get this anywhere else. There's nowhere else to find it. There's no Romanian series. There's no
it?
fucking Peacock series.
Define it.
What this is somebody like brain barfing onto the
Yeah.
screen. And I would
Yeah.
actually, if these episodes were like hour and 6 placid minutes, I'd be like, come on, man. Like, I'm not doing this. These are like, you never know when a cartel guy is going to show up and be like, this is my land.
Yeah.
That's my road. And then Billy Bob's like, film this. I got to get my piece.
Also, my guy Boss, who I'm into, my guy Boss is like, he has a really interesting management approach.
Yeah.
Where he's like, I support everyone equally, but when one of my guys who has been threatened at gunpoint 3 times doesn't get into the truck, I just let it roll. No big deal. He's also like, every day, men in my employ have their arms and hands permanently disfigured.
Yeah.
But when a guy in a ponytail shows up and loosely threatens my boss, I'm walking off the job.
Yeah. The only thing I'm kind of confused about is why. I mean, Cooper's just trying to help out. You know what I mean?
I want to talk about Cooper.
Okay.
Who's the actor?
Jacob Laughlin.
He's very good.
Yes.
He's very good.
He's in the Friday Night Lights of this show.
Yes, and Paulina Chavez as well. Like that whole conceit, again, like it's so clumsy, but it does make me wonder, like, I'm in a writer's room right now, and like, why do we spend days of a week figuring out a clever or interesting or emotionally compelling or even maybe just like recognizable as human behavior true way into a scene when you could just do the same scene twice and move on? Because if the goal is to have him and the widow of one of the guys eventually become close, perhaps
they are close,
perhaps intimate.
Yeah, they're two people looking for friendship in Texas.
He shows up. You're amazing. He's just like candidate Beto O'Rourke, just trying to find friends. He shows up. There's nowhere to sit in the house except this couch sliver between her, who's breastfeeding.
Yeah,
1 beer deep, no doubt. And like a big guy just to squeeze in there. And then there probably was a moment when Taylor Sheridan's like, what's happening in the scene? And he was like, you know what was funny in the previous episode? When he couldn't eat spicy food. Let's run it back. Let's just run it back.
Yeah.
Let's literally just have him eat spicy food again. And now they're
the reason why
close.
We have spent this entire conversation talking about our favorite little bits and our little confusions is because one of the reasons why I love this show is that it is not about anything. It's about all the shit that they scream and cry that it's about, but there is no villain. It's a case of the week show. You could have watched 1 and 2 and then 5 and you would have been like, I got it.
100%.
And there is something there is an artistry into what he is doing in that regard. And also I love the fact that whereas like with Lioness, you really have to have your global map out to know like what's going on with Lioness and everything is the fate of the free world until it's not. With Landman, you're just like, oh, that's another workplace liability.
OSHA is going to be hearing about this. I did want to say, like, to give credit to it, like I think that the Jacob Laughlin, Paulina Chavez scenes are good and compelling, and it doesn't matter how they got there or how you know the gesticulations to put them in this room or whatever. They are both in a show that I'm interested in. Yeah. And I like it.
The kid being like, I don't know any other way to help. You know what I mean? It's a genuinely sweet little exchange.
His attitude about showering, I'd like to interrogate a little bit.
I don't know what the deal is with that. I guess maybe he's just like, I'm not showering for your expensive dinner.
Right. On this new furniture.
Because he's trying to shed this class consciousness, you know?
Yeah. But like, he's also shedding a lot of like BO, man. Like, be respectful. Look at the nice meal your mother made. She's such a cool mom. She's so fun. She's such a fun mom.
Let's talk about Agency.
Okay.
You are current on Agency.
I am current. 3 episodes deep.
This show for me, I know a lot of people loved the first 2 episodes. I liked them.
Yeah.
I think I was having a little bit of like, I feel like every single thing here is just basically almost sometimes word for word from Le Bureau, the show it's based on.
Yep.
Those first 2 episodes were directed by Joe Wright.
Yes.
Some lovely shots in the first 2 episodes, some lovely mood setting and the idea that this open floor plan office is this maze of deceit and backstabbing and where can you find an honest person in here? All that stuff visually represented really well. Michael Fassbender, warrior monk, standing in an apartment block at the Barbican, isolated against this brutalist architecture or whatever. I get it all and I love it all. But it does speak to the difference in TV and film when you get into this episode, the 3rd episode directed by Philip Martin, whose work I'm not aware of. And this is no knock against Joe Wright, who's made 3 movies that I love and several that I like quite a bit. That this just felt way more fleet of foot and felt way more like a TV show. And I think focused on the performances in a way that brought characters to life in what is a very complicated dance. Because Catherine Waterston, you're like, I know that she is important, but might not be important for a little while because of the way the story is structured.
Yeah.
I thought that there was a couple of scenes of Gere, Wright, Waterston, Fassbender, and Magaro where you're like, that is the difference between that person and like replacement level acting.
Yeah.
Because even Jeffrey Wright asking Catherine Waterston, and she's like, do you think that he's adjusting all right to being back? Or is, and he's like, are you asking for him or are you asking for you?
Yep.
And she's like, both. And her eyebrow cocks.
Yeah.
Like, that's movie star acting. Like the way that you can communicate an emotion or a feeling with just like the smallest facial gesture or something like that is just, that's what like elevates you. And I just thought multiple times Gere going into the cube where he talks to Dominic West.
Yeah.
And is just like, how are you feeling in there? He's like, cozy. I was like, that's fucking Richard Gere, dude. Like it just it really warmed up for me. And I really enjoyed this episode a lot.
I think this is an interesting conversation because I agree with every point you're making. And I see the same things you do, certainly in the acting and performing. And for the record, Philip Martin is a veteran British TV director.
Sure, he's a genius. Yeah.
No, I mean, he did 7 episodes of The Crown. You've seen his work before.
Yeah.
I thought this was a pretty weak episode.
Oh, here we go. A little Siski and Ebert.
I'm not drawing big conclusions. I think that in a way we're responding to similar things, which is to say, usually in television dramas, the big drop-off is between the first and second episode. There's tons of time lavished on the pilot in the same way that we say, like, you have your whole life to make your first album, and then the band's second album you'd make in 10 months, and it's rarely as good.
Yeah.
This, because they clearly block shot the first 2 episodes and Joe Wright directed them, this 3rd episode was the agency's second episode.
Yeah.
Or its premiere as a TV show. In which it is sort of struggling to find its footing after the precipitous drop from cinema to television. It can come back from this. It's fine. It
but
should
explain
be viewed,
what you mean.
Well, okay, so on a couple levels, the biggest one for me was I thought that this episode was very, very poorly lit. Joe Wright clearly is a stickler for his shot selection, for his lighting.
His symmetries, yeah.
Yeah, for the glass box on top of the glass box. I don't know, and I don't, making the shit is real hard. So I'm not saying anybody screwed up or something. There was also locations and there was a lot of night stuff. But the entire hotel assignation at the beginning between Fassbender, Martian, and Samia, Jodie Turner-Smith, was incredibly dark and muddy. And even the follow-up conversation with Martian and Jeffrey Wright's character, like just the kind of thing where it's like, if you have actors with darker skin, you need to light them appropriately so they're fully present in the scene. And that bumps me when I realize that when you see it done well and you see it done poorly. It felt, when it's noticeable in specific ways like that, I'm like, this isn't just we're deaccelerating the sports car to get into like the meat of the season before we ramp it up again. It's like, oh, they had to figure out from scratch how they're going to communicate the show visually, and I felt that.
Okay.
I also felt that with the lack of, listen, I'm the least director bullshit guy.
Yeah, that's why
TV,
I'm kind of surprised to hear this. Yeah.
But the director bullshit I thought in the first 2 episodes was lifting up the show in terms of its maybe its pomposity, but also its ambition. Without that in this episode, I found that it was a lot of people declaring themselves and who they are in speeches to each other. And it did not feel like narratively propulsive or like character-based quirk.
Are you thinking mostly about like the Poppy Martian scene?
Yes.
And the Doctor and Martian scene?
Yes, I am. Yeah, exactly those scenes. And again,
the Fassbender part, he is doing a lot. Like they keep putting him in a position where he is like, I am going to break through this veneer by telling you everything that you think you know. You know,
there is a choice when you cast Michael Fassbender and you want to use, speaking of sports cars, and isn't that what he spends most of his time doing? Like, you don't want to cast a Lamborghini and then have it, slowly cruise around the neighborhood. Like, you want to get it on the open road. And he is such a kinetic and powerful weapon on screen. I'm struggling with it a little bit, and maybe it's partly the understanding of the character in the French version, because Matthew Kassovitz, he's relatively ripped, but he's also
bookish kind of.
He's
like,
kind of normie.
You would. The whole point of him is that he is the kind of guy that you would walk by and not notice.
And Fassbender is not.
Yeah.
And when he runs hot, he seems like a lunatic. He seems like the lunatic you want on your side in a foxhole. But him, the way that he's walking, the way he's behaving. I am bumping slightly on Jeffrey Wright being like, yeah, he just wanted to have a quick, side piece. I get it. Like he does not.
Yeah, I mean, I think that the idea is that Jeffrey Wright's got his own secrets because he's been checking on operations he shouldn't be because of his brother-in-law.
This seems like ticky-tack criticism, and I am in on this show. But I found that other than the high points that you just mentioned, and for me, the highest point is Richard Gere, who is fucking Richard Gere on this TV show. Is so sick.
Yeah.
He's so effortlessly good and awesome. And every scene, like the scene when he basically lets Fassbender know that he's been listening to the audio tapes.
Apartment, I mean flat.
He crushes that scene.
Yeah.
When he comes in and he's been briefed and he explains everything without telling anyone anything, without telling anyone a thing, like I love that. But I'm just throwing it out here. I don't want to be negative Nancy about this, but like there is a severity and puffed up nature to this show that is a delicate balancing act. And weirdly, I thought Joe Wright's direction was allowing it to stay afloat. And if you're trying to make this show with this tone and this seriousness of purpose and this really like grim speechifying intensity, you're going to have to flap your wings a lot to stay in the air. Otherwise it sinks a little bit.
Do you feel like for some reason, the Coyote, Felix, and whatever the name of the guy who's been redacted into a black site and the wooden duck character, I can't remember that character's name, but basically all of the spycraft game, all the spy game stuff, do you find that legible? I don't remember on the first pass of Bureau being like underwater the way I am. But it also might be a little bit of like what the show is doing to you, because obviously they go an inch into explaining what the Felix operation is without telling you. But I didn't know Felix is an asset that they are looking for in Ukraine. Like, is he an assassination? Like, we don't know.
No, but it's I believe it seems like it's a similar operation than the operation that was
in the first season
in the French first season. I think that. What I'm missing is, and I should go back and watch the first few episodes just sort of see rhythmically what they're doing, because like the Butterworths, like they should do something different. Like you have the opportunity.
I think having Ukraine makes it a little different. Yeah.
Yes, but they also, I think one of the things that they're doing differently is apportioning story and what they're paying attention to. And so one of the things that I lacked in this episode was the Danny character. She's the woman who's being trained to go undercover in Iran. She's not in this episode at all.
Yes.
And one of the smart things about the French show was it was like, we are partnering two stories and
bringing them together.
And only at the beginning, because Martian supposedly is that the French iteration of the character is home and is done, supposedly, right? Whereas he's crossing paths with a woman who's just beginning her undercover adventure. And they're together early, and then they split up, and those storylines don't converge. Now, we will see what the Butterworths and the brain trust behind the show, what they are interested in. They are blowing out some storylines and reducing other ones. But I thought that was a very smart way to be like a little handholdy, because the education of the audience was being done on screen with the education of the young woman character, as opposed to downsizing that part. So Fassbender is behaving this way and then lecturing us as to why he's behaving that way.
Yeah.
I
like the idea that you and I can watch like the same thing, and that I like it for the reasons that you don't like it, and vice versa. Like, I think that I found the first 2 episodes a little bit too glacial, and I liked, I got what Joe Wright was doing and creating this London of secret apartments inside of big buildings where everybody, like, I got it. But I felt like these scenes got into their point faster in the 3rd episode. I felt like the characters moved more quickly and weren't as like performative, like randomly yelling at each other for some reason. Like, I thought everything kind of was like, this is the sort of, this is the map of these people and how they interact with each other. And there were just more moments of like Jeffrey Wright walking by Richard Gere and Michael Fassbender and being like, why are they talking without me there? Like, a little bit more of the internal politics that I really like enjoyed in the first series.
I think anytime John Magaro's on the show, it lights up, because it's like, hey, that guy, that's funny. There's always going to be a little joke.
Yeah.
His chair's in plastic. He's stressed out. One thing that I'm interested in watching, and I don't have any like assumption, I don't know what it would mean one way or another, but the Butterworths are film writers, generally, screenwriters, very highly paid, very highly regarded screenwriters and rewriters. And Joe Wright is a film director.
Yeah.
And what was interesting about this episode is that this is the episode where it downshifted into being a TV show, but the writing and plotting still felt keyed into a different kind of language, so that the moments that you're pulling out to me feel like the TV moments, and the episode, from the way it was directed, even the things I'm complaining about, were kind of like, hey, let's lower the flame a little bit.
Yeah.
But it's a balancing act, and all this is to say, you should never judge a show on the 2nd episode. And in this case, spiritually, this was the 2nd episode. So I think we'll learn a lot more next week.
Do you think Taylor Sheridan will show up on this show?
Do you think he's Felix?
That would be...
What's up, guys?
I mean, we are in the Ellison family tree here.
Yeah.
It is part of Showtime, Paramount Plus. Like, we're all part of it.
You said that guy, the producer, right, is like on both.
Glasser, yeah. This show has been renewed for season 2.
That is not a surprise, but also it is a relief.
It is a relief because, well, I mean, first of all, I don't think that it would even... You can't tell this story and pretend like you're doing it in one season. So what Andy and I said when we first started talking about the agency still goes, which is that part of the genius of this series is seasonal storytelling and what it does over the course of multiple seasons.
And at least, in the renewal announcement, we don't have any access to the numbers and we don't understand.
It's doing quite well, apparently.
But what your friends at Paramount were trying to tell the world is, hey, we got one here.
Yep. Yeah.
Which they better, considering they spent for it. And I think it's a good thing. No matter what I thought of this episode, investing big on a great property and casting the shit out of it and not skimping, I want those risks to be rewarded because people are not taking risks anymore in #ThisTown.
All right, Andy. So a little bit of admin, which I think probably would have been more useful at the beginning of the episode.
No,
but whatever.
No, Kaya told me everyone listens all the way to the end. Always.
They listen to a cackling version of me and Kaya trying to describe what happens in the season finale of Lioness.
I don't mean trying. There was no trying. You did it.
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. We'll talk to you soon.